As they continued to walk down the path, they noticed there were plenty of plants that looked strange. At the very least, they didn't resemble anything back on Earth. One plant was shaped like an S and was the same size as the human body. There were several light blue ring-like patterns on it. Upon seeing this, the other students pulled out their scanners trying to gather information. But just like Faye had said, the scanners currently weren't working. They seemed to all be linked to a device that the homeroom teacher had. Only when he activated his device would the other students be able to use their scanners. Although others couldn't get any information from it, someone else could. Quinn walked up to the plant to see if he could. There was one skill that he had that might work. Inspection, blue ringed growth plant, a plant that can be used to greatly enhance the... Hey, Quinn, what's up with your face, man? Vorden asked, looking at Quinn, who seemed flustered for some reason. Is it the heat? If you need a break, we can start walking at the back of the group. No, don't worry, I'm fine, Quinn replied as he quickly moved on. As they walked, Quinn decided to use his inspection skill on every new thing he saw. It was a great chance for him to level it up once again. There were still times when the inspection skill was unable to give him information, but while on the red portal planet, it was a lifesaver. It even allowed him to get the shadow ability that was locked away in the storage unit. Quinn had tried repeatedly using the inspection skill on a basic item such as a pen, but after about 1,000 tries and no result, it seemed that the inspection skill needed to be used on new items to be able to level up once more. The pathway came to an end, and now the mud had turned into thick, heavy leaves and short green plants. Students' pace had slowed down. Now, with every step they took, they had to be careful when putting their foot down. Several roots were hidden underneath the leaves, and once in a while, a student would be caught in place. "A beast!" a student cried. "A beast has me wrapped around the leg!" The student's teammates who were nearby quickly jumped back and drew their weapons. But after a while, the student calmed down and looked up at his friends. He was too embarrassed to say what had occurred. "Sorry, false alarm, it was just a tree root," the student said, chuckling away nervously. One of the students in his group slapped him on the back of the head, and they moved forward. "This should be a good spot," Dell said as he placed his large shield onto the floor. They were now in an open area. There weren't as many trees and vines. It allowed them to see from all directions. "Students are not to travel more than 200 meters from this spot. If you do, your scanner will notify you, indicating they will no longer work," Dell explained. "For each new plant discovered, you will receive 5 points. For each new beast discovery, 20 points. Please remember this is not a hunting trial. There's no need for you to kill beasts. However, anything intermediate level and below, you may try your best to go against them if you wish, but any kills will not be awarded points. Still, you can keep the crystal for future use as well. All right, your scanners are on." At the same time, each of the scanners made a ding sound, and the students rushed off in different directions, all apart from Quinn's group. "Heh, what are you doing?" Sia complained. "Let's go, don't you want a good grade?" Before, it was always Erin, trying to get good grades, but without her, it felt different. "Let's do this," Layla said. "Let's get to the top for Erin." Quinn liked that idea. He rushed off into a section of his own along with Peter and the rest. They had split up a bit, and when they found something interesting, they would shout out to Peter to come over and scan the item. "Over here!" Layla shouted, as she spotted an odd plant that resembled an octopus. Peter rushed over. Even with his bag, his speed was great. He could see the plant using the scanner, and now all he needed to do was press the red button on the scanner to start the process. Suddenly, he felt something crash into his side, pushing him down to the ground. "Pfft, too slow," the student said. "That was on purpose," Layla complained, seeing that Peter was barged over. The student then quickly took out his scanner and pressed the red button. After waiting a few moments, a ding sound was heard. If the plant hadn't been scanned before and their team was successful in obtaining points, there would be a ding, which sounds similar to cash being withdrawn. If the item had already been scanned, a big red X would appear on the scanner, with an error sound instead. This meant that the plant the student had just scanned was a new discovery, and they had obtained 5 points. As Peter slowly got up from the ground, he walked over to the student. The boy carefully started to analyze just who was walking towards him. The first thing he did was look at the person's watch, noticing that he was a level 3 user. The one that had barged into Peter was also a level 3 ability user, but slightly higher, going into the 3.4 range, meaning he not only had the power of a level 3 ability, but the skills to go with it. Still, the levels felt too close. If the two were to fight, and Peter's ability was an offensive ability, there was no telling who would win or not. Because of the fierce look in Peter's eye, he immediately backed out. That was until 4 more students had arrived and were now standing by his side. There was 1 girl in the group along with the original student and 3 boys. "Come on, Pio, let's just ignore these guys. We're just wasting our time with this, and we can always go and get more points," Layla said, quite loudly so the others could hear. "You, the pretty girl, stay." The boy who had given the command was pointing at Layla. On his wrist displayed the number 5.2. Seeing this, Layla knew straight away why the boy was arrogant. Layla decided to ignore this and started to walk off while pulling Peter by his sleeve. "I said stay!" the boy shouted. The distance between the two parties was around 15 meters, but the boy seemed to have closed the distance at an instant speed and had already made a fist aiming towards Layla. But Peter was not a slowpoke himself and noticed the punch, managing to lift his arm, blocking the attack in the dead center of his forearm, between the wrist and elbow. The boy could feel the impact and even heard the crack sound it made. Although the blow wasn't strong enough to snap the bone and pierce the skin, he knew he had fractured Peter's arm. Peter didn't feel any pain, and nor did he cry. The boy hesitated for a moment, but then he saw Peter's hand reaching out to him. He ran to where he was before. Looking at Peter's arm, Layla could see it was starting to swell, but soon it would heal, so she wasn't worried about him. She was more worried about what he would do. It had been a while now, and the others had already noticed the changes in Peter's behavior, so in the end, Quinn decided to tell them the truth. That this was due to his involvement that brought Peter's aggressive nature. As the boy was about to say some clever remark, Quinn and the others had arrived, including both Vorden and Sia. The first thing Quinn had noticed was also Peter's arm. "Peter, who did this to you?" Quinn asked in annoyance. Just from the direction Peter was looking, Quinn could tell which one it was. Peter wouldn't stop staring at him. "Do you think you can just hurt our teammate in the middle of an assessment?" Quinn asked. "Quinn, you know you can't fight using your full strength. Let's just leave it be," Layla said. Sia, watching the whole thing, thought Quinn was crazy. Was he trying to have a go at the other team? Of course, it made sense that one would be angry if they were to injure a teammate, but Quinn was a level 1. What could he do? Most of the time, low levels were completely afraid of anyone above them. "I guess he will earn his place," Sia thought to herself.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.